What's up, everybody? I'm Jake with Survive the Hunt. This is Earthroamer by Donny Dust. I just finished this book and I like it so much, I'm gonna burn it. The one thing I've really tried to do more of this year is take some time and read. But honestly, I'm not a really big reader unless it's some kind of subject matter that's really interesting to me. So like historical books, one of my favorites is The African Adventures by Peter Capstick. I like books about hunting, fishing, camping, the outdoors, stuff like that. But one I picked up recently I wanted to show you, it's Earthroamer by Donny Dust. I just finished this one and I want to do a quick review. All right, so I just finished this book. I really enjoyed it. It was a fun read. There's some good information in here. If you like bushcraft, survival, the outdoors, that kind of stuff, primitive stuff, really, really good read. One of the things I especially like about it is just how easy it is to read. Donny writes just like you're talking to somebody. So while there's some really good information, some of the storytelling in the book is just really top notch. I won't spoil any of the stories for you, but definitely go pick up a copy of Earthroamer by Donny Dust. I'll link it down in the description. And I thought maybe a proper way to honor this book would be by burning it. Now, I'm not a big book burner, but I think Donny will appreciate this. And we're going to see if we can use this as a hearth board for a bow drill fire today. Let's give it a shot. I've got a white pine spindle that I'm going to be using today, and then I've got my bow, and I've got my bearing block flint striker here. This is an Essie. This is kind of my everyday carry one, but I really like this one for the multi-use. And then I've got a leaf litter tinder bundle, and what I'm going to do is start by carving my divot here. I'm going to use the end by the spine, because that's where the book's going to be the most compressed. This is a pretty thin book for a hearth board. It's maybe a little bit more than a 1/4 inch, so not as much as I usually like. I've never done this before. I have no idea how it's going to work. So I'm going to go ahead and carve the divot and get started. I don't want to carve out any more than I have to, just because I don't want to start losing depth on the book. So this might pop out the first time. I might have to go deeper, but we're going to start trying to do it shallow. Also, I've got this leather pad down here. The ground's a little bit moist, so this is a little piece of leather that I carry in my my bushcraft bag. I usually wrap up my fire kit or whatever in it. Makes a nice little makeshift pack, and it's great for stuff like this. So. Just move this up to a little flatter piece of ground. The book wants to bend, so little learning curve here. I think this is going to work. I'm going to use this piece of shag bark, hickory bark for a pan. So I'm going to try and save all this dust. Not much of it. You can see there's the burn-in. Go ahead and carve my notch. There's our notch. Normally I would carve a bigger notch, and I like a square point notch on a bow drill, but with this being so flimsy, for lack of a better word, I'm a little worried that the spindle is going to try and jump out, so I want to keep that as solid as possible there on that spine. All right, let's see if we can get an ember. just that spindle kicking out because the the book is so flimsy, but it is filling up good with dust. All right, I think we got it. All right. I was able to get an ember out of that, but this one's too small and it's just too fine and powdery to work into a fire. So I'm going to try again, and I'm going to bring it a little farther back on the book. All right, so there you can see the first one. You can see how the spindle works towards the edge of the book. So on this one, I'm going to do it a little bit farther back and try and keep my pressure in towards me a little bit and see if I can keep it on the book. Burn in number 2. I'm going to carve a little of the char off the end of this. All right, so I carved the most of the char off the tip of that spindle. When you're working with a really soft fireboard like this, what can happen sometimes is you'll get almost like a polish on the end of your spindle, and it can be really hard to make dust out of that. So I carved that off. We're gonna start fresh. We're gonna do another burn in, try round 2. All right, I repositioned just a little bit so you can get a better view, but I'm going so slow on this burn in because I don't want this hole to walk out like the last one did. So I'm just kind of taking my time getting this divot created before we make another ember. There we go. And we're going to catch our dust. There we go. There's the burn in number 2. Again, you can see it's not an ideal divot, but it's farther back. I think we can make it work better. Notch number 2, let's give it a shot. We'll cross our fingers for a stronger ember this time. There we go. All right, this is really small, so I'm gonna work quick. I lost it. going into the bundle, I lost it. So we're gonna try one more. And this time I'm gonna use the back side of the book since the front's getting a little weak. All right, attempts number 1 and 2 did not go well. I got an ember on both of them, but it was so fine, so small, I couldn't get it over into the tender bundle to make a fire. So we're gonna carve a new divot, this time on the back side of the book. This is probably my last chance because the book's getting a little flimsy on me. So we're gonna try this one more time, and fingers crossed we get a good coal. All right, that'll do for our burn in. Let's carve the notch and hopefully we don't lose it this time. All right, there's our notch. It's already trying to walk out. I'm gonna point up this end a little bit. I don't know if you can see how shiny that's getting. That's not gonna create dust. So I'm gonna take that off and try and get this. I'm switching back to my knee, from my foot to my knee. I feel like I've got a little bit more control when I'm down on my knee. It's not ideal because it kind of buckles the book a little bit, but I need the control to keep this from walking out the edge of the board. Ripped out. All right. Third try, fail. Fourth try, let's try again. I'm determined now. I know I can get it. Just a matter of keeping control. More than that, I want to show you what I mean by polish. See how shiny the end of that spindle gets? And it's just like putting, it's just like furniture polish on the end of it. It's rock hard. It's almost kind of fire hardened. You're just not going to get good dust out of that. It's the sharpest point I've put on this spindle yet. Trying to get this going, but I don't know. Just going to try something a little different. I was able to save a lot of dust from that last hole, so hopefully that helps keep the ember big. I've had it all 3 times. It's so fine and powdery, I can't get it at the stage where it'll coalesce. So let's go for another burn in. Set this dust aside. All right, good burn in. Spindle looks good. We catch this dust. Fireboard looks good. You can see I'm even farther back this time. Carve our notch. Something a little bit different with my notch this time. See, it's this one right above my middle finger here. Instead of making a V, instead of doing a V notch like this, I brought one of the sides more straight up. So it's, I guess, still a V, but more of an angled V. I'm hoping that with the direct pressure of the spindle going out, that V will have a little bit more strength than the last couple have. Whew, I'm worn out. There's so many dry sticks and logs around here. I could do this quickly with with the stuff laying here, but I really want to try it with this book. I don't know, it's fun. Donnie, if you see this, I hope you appreciate the amount of work that's going into getting this ember. All right, I just kind of moved all the old dust into this hole to try and give it more fuel for a solid coal. Here we go. All right, the book ripped, but we got it. We got it. We got it. All right. Set the stuff aside and get to work here. That's a good one. I'm gonna cry if I drop this. My fender bundle here. Take a crunchy leaf and just kind of get some more dust right over it. That dust will light quicker. All right, come on, baby. All right, we have a flame. Now let's turn that flame into a fire. Oh, adjust the camera too. Ow, whew, that was hot. Oh my goodness, that was a lot of work. There we go, which one was it? It's this hole right here we finally got it out of. But honestly, I couldn't have done it without the dust from the other 3 holes as well. That's really what gave that coal some body. Whew. Oh. There we go. Earthroamer by Donny Dust. 5 stars as a reed, 1 star as a fireboard. Can still read most of it. I'll probably go ahead and order another copy. Get yours, links in the description. Donny, I hope you appreciated this. Thanks for the good book.